It was a hot morning in Lagos. The kind that made your shirt stick to your back. The kind that made people angry for no reason. Kofi stood by the large windows of the family lawyer's office. From up here, he could see part of the city. Busy roads. Crowded buildings. But his mind wasn't on any of that. His jaw was tight. His hands behind his back. His father's ring was on his finger, the one Chief Adebayo used to wear before everything went silent. Behind him, the room was full. Mr. Adeyemi sat at his usual place. Calm. Watching. Mama Ngozi was dressed in black again. Her headscarf was loose today. Her eyes were sharper than ever. She had said nothing since she walked in. Just sat. Waiting. Some cousins were there. A few elders from the family. Everyone had been told this was a meeting to finally settle the matter. No one knew what was about to happen. Except Kofi. He checked his phone again. No message. No change. Then, he heard the elevator doors open. Footsteps. A voice. Laughter. Akin. He walked in like he owned the room. Sharp suit. Clean shoes. A watch that probably cost more than the entire textile warehouse. He smiled at everyone, but it didn't reach his eyes. Good morning, everyone, Akin said. He walked to the table slowly, like it was a red carpet. Mr. Adeyemi nodded. Thank you for coming. Akin sat down. Next to him stood a tall man in sunglasses and a tight black shirt. His arms were crossed. He didn't greet anyone. Kofi didn't sit. Shall we begin? He asked. Akin raised an eyebrow. So eager today, little brother. Kofi ignored the comment. He pulled a folder from his bag and dropped it on the table. Everyone looked. I called this meeting, Kofi said, not to talk about land, or houses, or money. I called it because we've all been lied to. And it's time to clean it all up. Akin chuckled. Oh. Is this another "you don't deserve the inheritance" speech? No, Kofi replied. This is about the truth. He turned to Mr. Adeyemi. With your permission, sir. Mr. Adeyemi gave a short nod. Kofi opened the folder. Inside were photos, emails, bank transfers, handwritten notes. He placed the first photo on the table. It showed Akin shaking hands with the same man now standing beside him. Behind them was a signboard, future site of West Point Mall, sponsored by Adebayo Group. Gasps filled the room. That land, Kofi said, pointing, is not just any land. It's part of the textile compound. The land Papa protected. The land Akin tried to sell, through a shell company tied to foreign buyers. Lie. Akin stood up. Don't believe this nonsense. Kofi didn't flinch. There's more. He brought out another paper, an email chain. It was from Akin's office, arranging meetings with people who had been trying to buy out Adebayo Textile for years. They were offering millions. And they were doing it quietly. This is fake. Akin shouted. Then let's read the bank records, Kofi said quietly. He brought out a statement showing money entering one of Akin's accounts under a different name. Then another showing the transfer of warehouse rights. The room was silent now. The tall man beside Akin stepped forward. His jaw moved, as if ready to say something. But Akin stopped him. Sit down, Akin snapped. Don't say a word. Kofi stepped closer to the table. Akin, I didn't want this. I didn't want a fight. I stayed here to protect what Papa built. You left, and that was your choice. But you came back for one reason, to sell what you didn't understand. Mama Ngozi's voice broke the silence. He understood, she said softly. Everyone turned to her. She stood up slowly. Her voice was quiet but heavy. He understood what his father feared. Chief Adebayo knew the vultures would come. That's why he gave you that compound, Kofi. It wasn't a gift. It was a test. Akin's eyes narrowed. Test. Mama Ngozi walked to the center of the room. Her eyes were wet now. But she stood strong. You both were tested. One to build. One to take. One to wait. One to strike. But only one saw what your father truly left behind. She looked at Akin. Then at Kofi. And only one passed. No one spoke. Even the man in black looked unsure now. Mr. Adeyemi finally broke the silence. There is something else, he said. But I was asked to wait for the right moment. Today seems like that moment. He pressed a button on the remote. A screen behind him lit up. It was Chief Adebayo. A video recording. His face was older. His voice was tired. If you are watching this, the old man said, then it means the time has come. And my sons have made their choice. The room froze. Even Akin sat back down. I feared this day, Chief Adebayo said. But I also hoped that maybe, just maybe, my boys would remember where we started. The video faded to black. A few people were crying now. But the storm was just beginning. The room was still. The screen was dark. But Chief Adebayo's voice still echoed in everyone's mind. Mr. Adeyemi slowly stood. He looked at Kofi, then at Akin. There is more, he said. Please, sit. Kofi sat. Akin didn't move. He looked frozen. Like his world had cracked. Mr. Adeyemi took a deep breath. Then he pulled out a brown envelope. This was sealed. Handwritten. From Chief Adebayo himself. He asked me to keep it until today. He opened it carefully. Inside was a letter. Yellowed. Folded neatly. Mama Ngozi reached for it. Her hands didn't shake. She unfolded the paper and began to read aloud. To my sons. If you are hearing this, it means the storm has come. You were both born of the same blood, but raised by different truths. Kofi, you saw my sweat. You heard the machines at night. You stayed when the others walked away. Akin, you saw my power. You heard how people feared the name Adebayo. You chased that feeling. I understand. But power without roots will blow away in the first wind. She paused. Her lips trembled. Then she went on. I gave each of you a piece of my heart. One got the house, the land, the title. The other got the soul, the story, the secret. The compound holds more than walls. The cloth we wove was more than fabric. It was history, culture, codes hidden in the thread. The world would pay dearly for it, but only if it remains true. Kofi slowly closed his eyes. He remembered the old woman at the compound. The cloths with symbols. The strange warmth he felt when he first touched them. The elders whispering that his father was guarding a legacy. He opened his eyes. Mama Ngozi was still reading. This inheritance was never about land. It was about trust. Who would sell it for gold? Who would carry it forward? If Kofi is reading this, then he passed the test. If Akin is there too, then he has a choice. Fight your brother, and lose more than money. Stand beside him, and you both win everything. If you are too proud to do either, then walk away. She folded the paper. Quiet. Final. The room stayed silent. Then Akin laughed. Low. Bitter. Is this what all this was about? He said. A test. A setup. Like we're actors in some family play. Kofi stood. This wasn't a play. This was our father trying to protect what mattered. You wanted more. I wanted the truth. Akin stood too. His voice rose. You think you're better? Because you stayed in that dusty compound. Because you rubbed your hands on dying machines while I built real money. You didn't build anything, Kofi snapped. You used Papa's name. Then tried to sell it behind closed doors. The man in black stepped forward. His face was angry now. We need to leave, he whispered to Akin. This is falling apart. They have too much. Kofi pointed at him. That's the man who offered to buy the land with foreign money. That's the man who stood with Akin in that photo. He's not just a business partner. He's a middleman for the group trying to erase our father's legacy. Gasps again. The man growled. Watch your mouth, boy. Kofi didn't move. I already did. I watched for years. I watched while you all tried to bury what made us Adebayo. Akin looked shaken now. Sweat on his forehead. His hands clenched. You think this changes anything? He asked. You think the world cares about one old man's cloth? Yes, Kofi said. Because it's not just cloth. It's heritage. It's the design that tells our history. Our father knew that. That's why he protected it. That's why he made you fight for it, just to see if you'd understand. Mama Ngozi stepped forward. Her voice soft but firm. Akin, you still have a choice. Not everything is lost. But you must choose now. The man in black whispered again. We leave. Now. Akin looked at him. Then at Kofi. Then at the table. The photos. The documents. He let out a long breath. You fooled me, Akin said quietly. All of you. No, Kofi said. We revealed you. Mr. Adeyemi stepped in. Before we go further, I need to say something clearly. With the evidence Kofi has brought, and this letter from Chief Adebayo, the original division of inheritance can be contested. And if we go to court, the textile compound will likely fall under Kofi's full control. Akin turned pale. You're joking. No, Adeyemi replied. But that's not what matters now. The question is, will you fight this and destroy what little is left? Or will you fix it? Akin looked down. He was silent for a long time. Then he walked over to the man in black. Leave, he said. What? Leave. You're done here. You think you can? I said leave. The man stared at him. But Akin didn't blink. Finally, the man left. The door slammed. Akin turned back to the room. His voice was softer now. I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if I can. But I know one thing. I lost the moment I tried to win alone. He looked at Kofi. Do what you want. Take it. The cloth. The land. Everything. I just don't want to fight anymore. Kofi didn't smile. But he nodded. We don't need to fight. But we must protect it. Mama Ngozi stepped between them. For your father, she said. They both nodded. Mr. Adeyemi cleared his throat. There's one more thing, he said. Everyone turned to him. He reached under the desk and brought out a small wooden box. It was old. Polished. Heavy. This box, he said slowly, was left in my care by Chief Adebayo himself. He told me to open it only after both sons had spoken their truths. Kofi and Akin stood still. The lawyer pressed the latch and opened it. Inside, there was a small flash drive and a sealed envelope with red wax. He picked up the envelope first. This, he said, contains the final addendum to Chief Adebayo's will. It is written in his hand. Signed. Witnessed. And legal. He passed it to Mama Nosy. Her hands trembled this time. She broke the seal and unfolded the paper. Then she looked at her sons. I will read, she said. To my sons, if you are reading this, then it means you have faced each other and yourselves. This was always the final piece of the puzzle. I gave you different pieces of the inheritance, not because I wanted division, but because I wanted truth. I wanted to see who would fight for legacy and who would sell it. I wanted to know who would walk in the light and who would hide in the shadows. She stopped. The room was still. Even the air felt heavy. The textile compound is more than land. It holds the last original loom of the Olanma design. A design passed down through blood. It was hidden during the war. Saved by your grandfather. Restored by me. I kept it secret until I knew who would protect it. Kofi found the truth. And so, the loom, and all rights to the heritage cloth, shall pass to him. Whispers filled the room. To Akin. You are not lost. I see myself in your hunger, your sharp mind, and your pain. But you let outsiders whisper too loudly in your ear. You forgot that a man without roots is like a kite in a storm. If you are reading this, then maybe there's hope still. Maybe, one day, you'll find peace in building, not breaking. Tears rolled down Mama Ngozi's cheek as she folded the letter. Kofi felt his throat tighten. He had never cried in public before. But now, it was hard to hold back. Akin sat down. His hands covered his face. No words. Mr. Adeyemi then picked up the flash drive. There is a final message, he said. He plugged it into the screen. Chief Adebayo's face appeared again. This time, he was sitting at the old loom in the textile compound. He looked tired. But his eyes were sharp. My sons, he began. If you are seeing this, then I am gone. But I am also here. He smiled faintly. I watched you grow. I watched you run in the dust. I watched you become men. And I worried. I worried that the world outside would eat you up. I worried that the fire I carried would turn cold. He looked straight into the camera. I gave you wealth. But more than that, I gave you a name. A story. That cloth behind me, he touched it, gently, it holds the stories of our people. The wars we survived. The dreams we held. The language of our past. The symbols in its thread are older than I am. Older than both of you. He paused. That cloth is the future. People from abroad will try to steal it. Some will offer money. Some will offer lies. But if you sell it, you sell your soul. And no money can buy that back. He leaned closer. If you fought, then good. Now you understand what it means to hold something worth fighting for. But the real test is what comes after. Can you heal? Can you protect together? The screen went dark. No music. No credits. Just silence. It hit harder than shouting. Mama Ngozi wiped her face. Then she walked over to Kofi. She touched his arm gently. You passed the test, she whispered. Kofi nodded. I only wish it didn't cost so much. She looked over at Akin. He still hadn't spoken. Mr. Adeyemi addressed the room. With the release of this addendum, the ownership of the Adebayo compound, textile rights, and family design patents now officially belong to Kofi Adebayo. The estate properties will remain shared, but final voting rights for future development now rest with him. A cousin stood up. So, does that mean Akin gets nothing? Kofi shook his head. He gets something, he said softly. He gets a chance. If he wants it. Everyone looked at Akin. He slowly stood. His voice was hoarse. I didn't understand before, he said. I thought legacy was about names on buildings. Awards. Power. He looked at Kofi. I didn't see you as a brother anymore. I saw you as an obstacle. Then he turned to their mother. I failed Papa's test. No, Mama Ngozi said. You fell. But you can still rise. He nodded slowly. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. But if you ever decide to expand that cloth business or tell its story to the world, I'll be here. If you let me. Kofi looked at him. It wasn't a perfect ending. But maybe it was a beginning. Come to the compound tomorrow, Kofi said. Bring your sleeves. You're working. For the first time in years, Akin laughed. Low. Dry. But real. Everyone breathed. Lagos was loud again. Down at the old textile compound, trucks were clearing the front yard. Journalists were arriving. Cameras clicked. Police vans stood nearby, quiet but present. There was tension in the air, the kind you feel before something big happens. But inside the compound walls, it was calm. Kofi stood in the center of the yard. He wore a plain white shirt. His palms were dusty. He had just finished moving a heavy loom back into place. The same loom his father once touched. The same loom the strangers wanted to steal. Beside him stood a woman from the Cultural Heritage Agency. She held a file with papers. This is the last form, she said. Once you sign, the Adebayo design will be protected under national heritage law. No foreign company can use or buy it without full consent. Kofi nodded. He signed. Just like that, the family's legacy was locked in. He looked over his shoulder. Akin was by the warehouse door. He wore jeans for the first time in years. His hands were dusty too. He looked tired. But calm. You're late, Kofi said. Akin smiled. I was here before you woke up. You just didn't see me. They both chuckled. The silence between them was easier now. A voice behind them interrupted the moment. It was the tall man in black. The shady associate. This time, he wasn't smiling. You made a mistake, both of you, he growled. Do you know how much money you threw away? You could have been kings. Kofi didn't answer. But Akin stepped forward. Leave. The man sneered. You think this is over? You embarrass people. People who don't forgive. Then they can come to the compound, Kofi said. We'll be waiting. Police officers stepped closer. The man in black raised his hands. All right. I'm leaving. But don't say I didn't warn you. He walked out of the compound. Kofi turned to the officers. You can forward the documents now, he said. He used shell companies. We traced them all. The fake leases. The bribes. It's all here. The lead officer nodded. We'll handle it from here. Mama Ngozi walked in then. She wore a light blue dress. Simple. Her headscarf was off. Her silver hair caught the sun. I heard shouting, she said. Is it done? It's done, Kofi said. She looked at both sons. Her eyes were full of emotion. She said nothing. Just came forward and held both of their hands. That moment was worth more than any land. Later that afternoon, a press conference was held in front of the compound. Kofi stood behind a small podium. Reporters held mics up, eager. The Adebayo textile design is now protected, he announced. We will reopen this place. Not as a factory, but as a center for design, history, and learning. We want young people to see where we came from. And where we are going. He looked over at Akin. And this is not a one-man job. My brother and I will do it together. There were murmurs of surprise. A reporter asked, Mr. Akin, why now? After everything. Akin stepped forward. I forgot who I was, he said. But my brother didn't. He reminded me. Another asked, what will happen to the foreign deal? Kofi answered. It's dead. You can't buy what doesn't belong to you anymore. More applause. As the press began packing up, Mr. Adeyemi arrived. He walked slowly, holding a file. I thought I'd see this with my own eyes, he said. You did more than enough, Kofi said. The lawyer smiled. He handed them a photo. It was old. Black and white. It showed Chief Adebayo standing in front of the loom. Two small boys beside him, Kofi and Akin. You forgot this in my office, Adeyemi said. Kofi took the photo. His hands tightened around the edges. That was the day he made us promise, he whispered. To always protect each other, Akin added. They looked at each other. We broke that promise, Kofi said. But we are fixing it now, Akin replied. That night, the compound was quiet again. Kofi sat alone near the old loom. The lights were dim. The machines were still. But the silence felt peaceful this time. Akin walked in holding 2 cups of tea. No champagne tonight, he said. But this would do. They both sat. Kofi looked at him. Do you ever think about what Papa really wanted? All the time, Akin replied. He didn't want us to win. He wanted us to remember. Remember what? Each other. They sipped in silence. Outside the gate, a new sign was being nailed into place. Adebayo Heritage Center. Preserving the past. Designing the future. As the final nails went in, dawn began to break. It was a new day. Not perfect. But real.